Welcome back to another exit sign and emergency light video. This is Exit and Emergency 25. I appreciate you tuning in. Just a warning though, this is going to be a boring episode. It's all about generic, which I know some people are probably groaning when I say that, but hey, every video can't be about something rare or something super high quality. Plus, this is one I've kind of wanted to make for a while, so let's get into it. Above my door, I have a typical cheap common exit sign, no name brand. It's got a rectangular design, white housing with red LED exit letters. It has battery backup. There's the test button and very dim AC light. We can give it a test. Yeah, that's about it. Very cheap. I could break this just by pressing in on it. These are some of the most popular exit signs ever made. I would say hundreds of companies rebrand these, which pretty much just means they stick their company name on them and call it their own product. They're everywhere, and the reason why is because they're so inexpensive, around 20 bucks, and you can't really beat that. Again, very low quality. I don't like these. They're very cheap, not reliable, poor products, but everyone seems to use them, unfortunately. They first kind of started getting their rise, and I want to say mid 2000s or late 2000s. They kind of started popping up everywhere, and they've been here ever since, and they're still made to this day. Of course, there's some variants of these signs, like with super rounded edges or very thin housing designs, but this basic sign is still made today and still very popular. These are made by a Chinese company called Jimming, one of the most popular generic exit sign and emergency light manufacturers too. So yeah, that's about it. Nothing else really to add. We will take a look on the inside though. Let's open up this exit sign. Like other typical plastic exit signs, it's got these two snaps at the bottom, which you use a flathead screwdriver to open. I don't know why this one's being difficult. There it is. Open it up like that. This is the inside. We have all of these LEDs that are very dim. There's actually a transformer, which is a nice touch of Jimming. Most generic exit signs and emergency lights don't use one. There's the backup battery, and that's where it connects to the board of the unit. This one was either made in 2006 or 2009. I really don't know how they do their date code. But anyways, pretty basic, boring on the inside. There's the sticker, and that's about it. Something else to mention is this is just a red exit sign only. I know some of the newer generic stuff out there, you can switch it from red to green letters, which is kind of becoming a more popular option. But these older ones did not have that feature. Moving on to the emergency light, this is another generic model. It's incandescent with no reflectors. That's another way you can tell something is pretty cheap. We can give it a test. There it is in emergency mode. Very dim, very bad. I don't like it at all. Another very popular emergency light. I don't know if I would say it's one of the most popular, but it's definitely up there. These things were everywhere, by the way. I don't want to sound like the old man, but nowadays with generic, there's a lot of weird designs. You know, there's not like one emergency light you see everywhere. It's like, well, there's this design with round heads and this really small emergency light and this other one with square heads. But kind of when I was growing up and definitely starting getting interested in exit signs and emergency lights, this was the generic you would see everywhere. I mean, you couldn't escape it. I guess my point in this little tangent story is generic nowadays is so diverse. I guess there's so many different designs you can see, but you know, in the 2000s, 2010s with incandescent generic, this is the incandescent generic emergency light you would see. Of course, just like with this exit sign, yeah, there's some variants. You might find some nicer generics with reflectors, maybe some other ones that have a semi-rounded design or something else going on, but this was pretty much it. And again, I don't like it. It's dim, it's low quality, it's cheap. Both in quality and price. Again, you could probably pick one of these up for 20 bucks, $25. This one's also made by Jimming. Again, they pretty much have the industry market when it comes to low quality emergency lighting. This particular one was made in 2016, which is pretty late because it was around 2014 where LED emergency lights started to be produced and get popular, and especially by 2016, LED stuff was almost standard. So this is a very late production emergency light, but because it's incandescent. You can also tell how new these are based on where the test button and AC light is. The older ones, they were kind of close to center, but as the years went on, they would move it further down. I don't really know why, but yeah, that's about it. This is an adjustable emergency light. Not that that matters because the light output is so poor anyway. Now it's time for a hopefully quick history lesson on cheap knockoff copies. This emergency light is a cheap knockoff copy of another emergency light that is from a manufacturer you know of. So take a look at this one, look at its features and designs and whatever. Now look at this emergency light. This is the original. This is a Lithonia ELM2 first generation emergency light that originally came out in the early 1990s. Kind of one of the first easy installation basic emergency lights on the market. It had two incandescent emergency light heads with reflectors, so it makes it a decent brightness. It's all plastic but durable. It has this kind of, I don't know if it's a triangle, but it's got this neat modern looking body design on the emergency light. It has a quick mounting bracket. You mount this bracket to the wall and you simply snap the emergency light in place. So these weren't really produced for a long time, just a few years until Lithonia discontinued it in favor of a new improved version. But putting this against the generic one, look how similar they are. It has the same square emergency light heads that adjust the same exact way. The body style is straight up a copy. It's got the same easy installation mounting bracket that you snap into place. That literally is a copy. Jimming just took Lithonia's design and hard work and produced this piece of junk that's far lower quality. Like they took away the reflectors because a little piece of reflective metal is way too expensive to make. But it's crucial because without it, the light goes nowhere. It doesn't light up anything. The reflector helps the light spread. It kind of baffles me that Lithonia never took any legal action because, again, Jimming literally stole the design. But it makes you wonder if Lithonia didn't do this because, number one, maybe it's hard to track down a Chinese manufacturer, and two, the ELM2 first generation was already discontinued by the time these were getting popular. Even the ELM2 second generation was already gone. So maybe they just didn't care because it wasn't a current product of Lithonia's. Or, I guess going back on the obscurity thing, since everyone rebranded these practically, maybe Lithonia couldn't track down Jimming. They didn't know who made it. I don't know. I can easily become a conspiracy theorist when it comes to cheap knockoffs like this, but definitely I wanted to talk about it. And eventually I am going to make an episode talking more about this Lithonia ELM2 first generation because this is kind of a, I don't want to say it's rare, but it's on the border of being rare and uncommon. So you'll see this in a future episode and I'll definitely mention the generic stuff, but just kind of wanted to talk about it here. May I present to you the worst emergency light ever made? And I can say that with 100% confidence. This is a generic, incandescent, no reflectors, non-adjustable, or fixed optics emergency light. Again, worst emergency light ever made. It's horrible. It's not bright, not even at all. Might as well not even have an emergency light. This thing lights up nothing. I hate these. The worst you can buy, not worth your money that you would spend on one. I sound like a crazy person right now, but I'm speaking the truth, yo. These are so bad. I mean, these are horrible. I can't believe these were, sold and people thought, yeah, it's fine. These are bad. They're horrible. I can't say it anymore, but Jimming also makes them. Is that a surprise? They are very bad emergency lights, but, well, something I need to admit, just like what we just looked at with the other emergency light, how I said it was a knockoff, this one's also a knockoff of a Lithonia product, and that's the Lithonia ELM first generation. And this knockoff, I mean, I guess with the one we just looked at, the adjustable generic, it was pretty much a knockoff. I mean, there's some design differences, like the test button is different, the head design is a little bit different, the internals are kind of different. This is just a straight up knockoff of the Lithonia ELM. I mean, everything from the test button to the body style, there is nothing different. And honestly, for a while, I thought Lithonia bought these from Jimming or something, but no, Lithonia was the first one that made them. So I guess Lithonia kind of dropped the ball on the worst emergency light ever made, but either way, jimming again made them very popular, so I fault jimming because I don't like jimming. But anyways, so that's all there is to say. But there is something else I need to admit, and that is I kind of like the design of these emergency lights. And I really don't like to say this, but it's kind of one of my favorite designs. I know that sounds so bad. I just love how these look for some reason. They're so low profile, just so blends in with the wall. When I would see these when I was younger, I just was fascinated by the design. It just looks good. It performs horribly, but I like what it looks like. I know that's crazy talk, but it's the truth. Seriously, I do kind of like these. But anyway, so yeah, horrible emergency light, but that's all there is to share. So, the moment I'm sure all of you have been waiting for, let's cut the power and see just how bad these units perform. No power now. There's the generic sign in emergency mode. I can't remember if I mentioned it or not, but these generic style signs get a little bit brighter when they are in battery backup mode compared to standard AC mode, which has always kind of been interesting to me. I don't know if that's by design or not. Here's the adjustable generic emergency light, dimly lighting up the space. The camera kind of exaggerates just how bright it is. It's a little bit dimmer in real life. And something else with generic emergency lights like this, it has a consistent dimness, if that makes sense. Like, this whole area is just dimly illuminated. Unlike other emergency lights where they act like a spotlight. For example, if I had another one here, it'd be like, this is really bright, and then it's kind of dim around it. These generic styles dimly light up the entire area. But definitely these meet the absolute minimum requirements for emergency lighting. Something else too, which I hate to admit it with, again, no reflector incandescent emergency lights, it really doesn't matter how you adjust them. It pretty much lights up the same way regardless. So right now I have these adjusted properly, right? So the right head is pointing at the door, the left head is kind of pointing right here. So look at the coverage right now. You can see it's kind of dimly lit up to the door. Okay, let's do its default adjustment, or pretty much where it's not adjusted. Okay, here it is, and the performance is pretty much identical. I guess adjusting emergency lights is a lie. No, it's not. It's just these are so horrible. I guess it doesn't matter if you adjust it or not, but kind of interesting though. So yeah, weird. Yeah, kind of hate it. It really doesn't matter how these are adjusted. They'll still dimly light up the area regardless, but I still have to adjust them because, you know, I guess it makes me feel like it's done the right way. But anyways, let's move on to an emergency light that requires no adjustment. Here, this one is. Again, I kind of like the appearance of it in emergency mode. Also dimly lighting up the space. It's pretty much the same brightness as the adjustable emergency light across the room. Literally, it's the same brightness. So again, it's a consistent dimness all around. Well, we've reached the end of this very generic episode. As always, I really appreciate you watching. It always means a lot to me. And that's about it. So let me know what you thought of this video. And if you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comment section. I would love to answer them. Or even if you want to talk about these generic units, what are your opinions of them? And if you say you like them, I am immediately banning you from my channel. That's a joke. That's a joke. We all can have our opinions. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so yeah, that's all for this video. Check out some of the other exit sign and emergency light videos on my channel, or maybe some different styles of videos. So that's all. Catch you in the next one.